Having a child in my 20's was not something I ever thought I would want to do because I wanted to be financially sound. So people are saying, oh, and it's cultural to have a child earlier. But I wanted to be smart and have a child when I was financially sound versus having to work multiple jobs and not being able to spend time with my child at this age when I'm in my late 30s.
If you're watching out there, you're thinking about having children and you're in your 20s, this is just something for you. I personally think that when you have children, it's best to have them 20s, maybe late 20s, if not early 30s tops. The reason why is because as a mom especially, I always think of I had my grandmother and my great grandmother because they had their kids at early ages, 20s. So when my mom became a mom, my grandmother was still at a good age to help my mom. And then I knew my great grandmother. So I had an opportunity to not only be raised by my mom, but also my grandparents and my great grandparents. My great grandmother didn't die until I was 35 years old. So I thought that was a blessing within itself. But when you wait and you have kids at a later age, you decrease those chances because now your parents are older. They may not be as able as they used to be. And then your grandparents, if you're blessed to still have them alive, are even older. So I just wanted to bring that up.
No, I actually saw that being like a whole conversation on TikTok, and I feel a little differently. Times are a little different, and I feel like for my mom, like her generation had children a little bit younger, and so they spent that first like half really of their lives being parents, and then now we're having kids, and she's finally in a space to where she's like, these past 10 years have been the first 10 years of my life where I haven't had children in my life. She is living her best life, honey. She's like, grandkids, honey, not today. Not today.
That's different, Della. Don't share that part.
These grandmothers is different.
Share that, Della, because they need to know all of that.
Because I lived at my grandmother's house.
Grandmas is not watching kids, Shantae. They going to Cancun.
Period.
Over the summer and catching
hopping on Fashion Nova and everything, honey.
In the fashion.
I don't think I would be that kind of grandma. I think I'm like, bring them over. Come on.
My grandma didn't want to keep us, and this was, like I said, this was back in the day when it was acceptable for you to drop your kids off at your grandparents' house. My grandma did not like keeping us. My grandma had 9 girls and 3 boys. So imagine how many grandkids she had, and y'all trying to drop them all off to her?
Oh, well.
My grandmother Alabama and she loved us coming over. But she also, like, my grandparents, most of them died young. So I didn't get that luxury of really getting to know them in my older years. I have one grandparent left. She's so sweet. She's like the sweetest lady ever. She's almost 100. But as far as, it's a blessing. And similar to you, Shantae, we're from the South. So that I think that's more of a South and also West Indian thing. Like, we want that generation. You want to meet the generations above you. But I never met my grandparents on my mom's side. They had all to pass before I even of age.
I find that Southern moms are a little bit more, come on, bring them over. And then the urban moms are like, I got things to do. Urban grandmoms. So I'm that's the truth.
My daughter's grandparents want to see her all the time. Literally, like they want her every day.
That's
if
the
they
best.
could, they would want to see her every day.
That is
but nice. They're of course West Indian. That's just a cultural thing. They always want to help out. They want to provide every advice, even if you don't want it. They will provide this advice. So that's the thing. That's how we live over here.
Gotcha. I agree. Anybody else wanted to add to that? That wasn't one of our questions, but I just saw and I thought that was so interesting. I did want to bring that up because I agree with the person who sent that comment. I don't know who it was, but I absolutely agree with it. Anybody else want to contribute to that conversation before we move?
I did have one contribution there. So having a child in my 20s was not something I ever thought I would want to do because I wanted to be financially sound. So people are saying, oh, and it's cultural to have a child earlier. But I wanted to be smart and have a child when I was financially sound versus having to work multiple jobs and not being able to spend time with my child at this age when I'm in my late 30s.
So they say that. I know you're new to the YouTube. They say that because they feel like women who are in their 20s shouldn't be worried about career. They should be worried about childbearing, and they should date men who are older because those men are now set in their career and they can take care of you in a fantasy world. But we know it doesn't always come out that way. Now, does it?
I will not say anything to that.
Because I know people who are married to older men, and that ain't what's happening at all.
I do too. I know many who are married to well-off men, and they're in a very loveless, sexless situation.
Yeah.